Great. Welcome to Digital Asset News. My name is Rob, and there's a lot of things to go over. And the reason why you're probably here is because the title and the thumbnail, let's be honest. And there's some things going on behind the scenes, and I think people in power want you to sell. That's why I'm not selling. So we're going to do a quick market recap, see what's going on with our market. Then we'll talk about Citadel, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab are coming into crypto. Then we'll talk about some good stuff, regulations and stuff like that. And also, there's a concerning article where SEC Chair Gary Gensler, I think we all know him, and Senator Lummis agree on a particular point as to how many different cryptos are actually securities. And then we'll talk about more pain from Mike Novogratz, and finally, Cardano and their big partnership coming to fruition. So let's just jump into it and see exactly where we're at. Well, let's talk about the market cap and if they, how much correlation. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody about this little snippet here, which is I need you to pay attention to the people that are here in the bull market and the people that are here in the bear market. There's a lot of fair weather crypto people out there. That's all we can really say. And I know it's tough right now because you could throw your money at anything in the bull market, and everybody's a genius during that time. But it really takes a solid hand, especially in these times, to really get ahead. So just remember, there are people here that are not your friends and are not looking out for your best interest. Just something to be aware of, fair weather friends. Also, here is the market today. We're down, and not surprising. I mean, we're going pretty much all over the place from top to bottom. And we can see that Bitcoin's down a little bit, Ethereum's down a little bit. And this is what I talked about in the video 3 or 4 days ago. I said, I'm gonna stop DCAing for a while because I think we're gonna go down, especially when the CPI numbers come out. And initially we did go up with some good news, but it's all over the place and we're in kind of a range bound situation. So I'm not gonna do anything. Remember, those CPI numbers come out Friday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, Eastern time, which would be 7:30 Mountain, 6:30, or 7:30 Central, 6:30 Mountain, and 5:30 Pacific time. And if they are shooting up as far as inflation, expect our market to also take a little bit of a hit, as does the traditional market. And again, I talk about correlations, and I believe that we are correlated, and looks like we are all in the same boat. Crypto's down 0.4% as far as market cap, and S&P is down 0.9, almost a full point. And the NASDAQ is down almost, about 0.7 or so. So just remember, I think we're still correlated. We're going to be like that for quite some time. Also, there is something to consider. And that is, of course, when I talk about when we get into the green, take profits. This was my cash out strategy. And I've been talking about this for the last 6 months to a year or so. And you can find videos on that. There's a link in the description where I talk about my cash out plan. And I did a better job this run than I did in 2017, but I didn't cash out as much as I should have because I got greedy. But there are some bright points, and one of those, of course, iTrust Capital. If you don't have a crypto IRA, go check them out. The other one is Masterworks. That is fractionalized share of artwork. And just so you know, if you're taking a look at it, there's a link in the description. And they made me and all my subscribers a nice little landing page because people weren't understanding it, what was going on. So I take a look at this. You can, someone calling decline. When you come over here, you can skip the wait list. This again is investing in a fractionalized share of art, 1.7 trillion asset class. I didn't know. And I want you guys to know this is my portfolio. This is what I've invested in. I own a Banksy and a Basquiat. Do I own all of them completely? No, I do not. But this is something that I get into because of the reason for this. Here's the track record for fine art. 32%, 31%, 33%. That's year over year. That's realized revenue after all the costs and things like that. So if you want to put your money into something, this is what I'm doing. And I have a link in the description. I do a video. I show you exactly how it works. You don't buy the art. They buy the art. It is put up with the SEC. Because these are securities. And then also, just remember, you can do all that stuff, put into gold, S&P, REITs, equities, but this is contemporary art. And that is with inflation factored in. So again, there's a big difference between us and the super rich. as they buy $1 billion worth of art. And this was just a couple of weeks ago. So that's my little snippet for Masterworks. Let's get in the main story, which is Citadel, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab are coming into crypto. So this was when I see these types of articles, it just makes me realize that I think we're in the right place at the right time. Yes, we're in a bear market right now, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to see some pretty positivity as far as going on. And I got to tell you, these guys do things at the right time. If you've ever seen, like during recessions and during down plays, you know that PayPal was created during the 2008 recession, or when everything kind of collapsed. Also Uber, also LinkedIn, and a couple of other big names. And they do that because there's not a lot of noise. So when I see stuff like this, I'm like, okay, I know I'm in the right place. So this is what we got. The American market-making firm founded by billionaire hedge fund manager Ken Griffin is building a crypto trading platform in collaboration with high-frequency trading firm Virtu Financial. Citadel Securities is a sister company to hedge fund giant Citadel. And before you get excited, I'm going to tell you some bad news about this. It's also working with crypto venture capitalist firm Sequoia Capital and Paradigm. The new crypto trading ecosystem will be designed to create more efficient access to crypto asset liquidity for institutional traders, which means that's what we want, institutional traders. And it's amazing to me that we have a bill coming forward by Senator Lummis, and she's trying to give us some clarity. And then this thing kind of just happens to happen at the right time. Like, oh, well, now the institutions and a lot more want to get into it, especially some big names. Anyhow, if anything, bear markets allow for more significant opportunities for profits. Obviously, you can get more crypto at a much discounted price than you would in the bull market. According to a source, the Citadel Consortium will be joined by additional wealth managers, market makers, and industry leaders expected to be part of the platform ahead of launch. And it's also noted that deficient and inhibits wider... No, that's not right. Current crypto market structure is deficient and inhibits wider adoption from a lot of investors because we don't have, I think, the clarity. And it's more of a crypto trading ecosystem, a marketplace, and exchange. It's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the whole thing with this is when I first read this, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But when I had to dig deeper, there's another article here from Bloomberg, the same thing, but it talks about how on top of Virtu and on top of Citadel, it's with Fidelity and Charles Schwab. And those are two big names. Those are, of course, Fidelity's been in for a while. And you can do different things with crypto, but now they're going to get into the exchange and trading. Platform could be available by end of the year or early next year. And before you get too super excited, I will just say this. There is a great video called The Problem with Jon Stewart. And I linked it in the description. And what he talks about is how dangerous Citadel actually is for this thing called pay for order flow. And if you haven't heard about pay for order flow, it really is a devious little way. Of course, capitalism will say, no, it's totally legit. And it is legal, I suppose, but it's what Robinhood uses. And it's what a lot of different pools will use to actually get the best price and to kind of not price you out, but to kind of skim some profits at the top. And if you watch the video, it's about 16 minutes long. You'll understand why anything that Citadel kind of gets into is quite concerning. And also, just so you know, do you know who created pay for order flow? Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff created the structure of pay for order flow, which is what Citadel is doing, which is what I think they're going to do over here. So even though this is good news, take a look of the story behind the story. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I will say, like I said in the beginning, these guys have like the best timing, don't they? The best timing. And if we take a look at my favorite topic, the 4-year cycles. Don't groan. Hear me out. 4-year cycles, I think, are still in play. And I know it didn't seem at first like it worked out, but tell me where I'm wrong here. 4-year cycles always start with Bitcoin halving, which happened in 2012, the first Bitcoin halving. Then you reach an all-time high. That was in 2013. 2014, you get a dip. Then you get a reset. That was in 2015. Then it happened again. 2016, we had halving. All-time high in 2017. Then we had a dip. And then a little bit of reset in 2019. Then we did this again In 2020, it was a halving where we hit $29,000. Then 2021, we had an all-time high, and I thought that we would extend it. And even Ben over into the Cryptoverse says, I think there's extended cycles. And now he says it's invalidated. But it actually did work out. The all-time high was 67,000. I know people will say, well, there's macroeconomic factors, blah, blah. Sure, I get it. But it's still in play. There is still a bear market and a dip in 2022. And I think there's going to be a reset or an accumulation in 2023. And then, of course, what does that mean? In 2024, the halving, this is just a guess. Don't hold me to it. Then in 2025, what happens after every halving? An all-time high and a dip and a reset. So if you think you're in the wrong time frame, you're not. I envy you if you're here right now. I think this is the best time. There's two times to invest, in my personal opinion. Everything's boring and moving sideways and just dull as hell, like what we're doing right now. And then, of course, this is the time to buy. The second best time is during the big run-up, but that's up for you to decide. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I still think it's in play. That's what I say. And let's move on to our next piece. This one's weird. SEC Chair Gary Gensler, fan of the show, and Senator Lummis agree on something. And I got to tell you, when I read this, I'm like, this cannot be good. Here's what we got. Crypto booster Senator Lummis, which he just put out that law, or the bill that probably will not be passed. Watch the video from yesterday. Says she agrees with SEC Chair Gensler that most digital assets are securities. Grown. Here's what we have. Gary Gensler is everybody's famous or favorite person in the crypto community. Argues that the vast majority of digital asset or digital tokens are securities and that their issuers are violating the law by not registering with the agency. Debatable, but here's what we got. Lummis, senator from great state of Wyoming, says, I agree on this point. And Lummis emphasized, however, that Bitcoin and Ethereum are obviously commodities that should be regulated by the CFTC. In America, we have an organization called Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and they only deal with the commodities. SEC deals with securities. The OCC only deals with currencies, Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So she says, Bitcoin, Ether, pass, commodities. Everything else sounds like not so good. She added that because there are possibly as many as 19,000 individual cryptos and that it's likely that most are securities. Now, well, let me just preface it with this. We went over the bill yesterday, me and DJ from Buy the Dip, Sell the Tip. And one of the things is that they were talking about how different cryptos might get a pass. One of those, Solana and Cardano and things like that, because nothing's set in stone. So when they talk about this, I think people see this and then go, damn it, the crypto that I'm invested into, they're going to label it a security. I know it because it's here right there. Just calm down. You got to get all the information before you do anything. And that bill is very vague. Now they're trying to update the Howey test, which was created in the 1930s, 1933, to actually determine what is a security, which I don't know how that would actually work for digital assets. It just doesn't. So when we see this, don't flip out and go, oh, now they're saying that everything besides Bitcoin, Ethereum is a security. That's not what they're saying. They're saying Bitcoin, Ethereum are definitely commodities. Everything else outside of that, there's a good chance that they are a security, but not saying it. Look, there's 19,000 plus cryptos out there. Correct me in the comment section. It's a ton. So to say that the top 100 are all securities, that's not what they're saying. They're just saying this is what it is. But it is interesting that they do agree on this point in general to say that. Anyhow, to finish this up, Gensler has in the past argued that Bitcoin is a commodity. As a private citizen, he argued that the issues of Ether violated securities laws when they issued 18 million Ether token to the public in 2014, though. So he's saying that, hey, Ether actually is a security. And CFTC Chairman Rostin Benham also spoke, saying that probably hundreds of cryptos are in fact securities and should be registered with the SEC. So there's two things I need to make mention of here. First of all is this. If I think this is just a theory, maybe Ethereum is playing like 4 and 5D chess because they've kept those gas prices so ridiculously high that the only reason I buy Ethereum these days, well, that's not the only reason, but a lot of reasons I buy is because I need to pay for the gas. And that means it's a utility and it's not a security. So maybe they're just holding off on these mergers all this time going, let's wait till we get some clarity and then we'll go from there. Just a thought. Second thing is, what would happen if all the cryptos become a security? Bitcoin is a commodity and everything else is security. Does that mean they all go away and they disappear and that's it? They're securities. We can't have them. They're secure. No, you buy securities all day long. Do you know what they are? Go to Robinhood. They're all securities. Stocks, equities, they all have to be registered with the SEC. So just because it becomes a security doesn't mean like the sky is falling, Chicken Little. It's going to be all right. Just that's going to be a big pain in the A for the exchanges to register all those things. And yes, there may be some fines and so on and so forth, but it allows us to get to the next step. Anyhow, that's what, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section. And let's talk about Mike Novogratz. I have no problem with Mike. I know he got burned on the Luna thing. I know some people hate him, especially Cardano. Cardano community hates this guy. But look, he's just a guy that, you know, did his research and didn't work out. And this, I just want to make this quick. Galaxy's Mike Novogratz says 2/3 of hedge funds will fail. Why is this important? It's because of this. 2/3 of hedge funds that invest in cryptos will fail as a consequence of the current market downturn. Volume will go down. Hedge funds will have to restructure. What he means by restructure, sell. So at some point, they don't want to lose their A. So they're like, you know what? Let's start selling like crazy as things go on. And it's just a slippery slope. Once you start to see that one specific sector starts to sell off or one different type of crypto, and all of a sudden they just start to cascade effect. It's the same thing as far as getting liquidated for leverage plays. Almost the same thing here. So I don't see a positive about that. You can look at it either one of two ways. Either your portfolio is going to go down, and of course you can sell. That's up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, not your dad. Do whatever you want. So for me, I just look at this as going, okay, I'm in the right place at the right time. There's some big people coming in. We're going to see some short-term pain, but it's going to be a long-term gain in the long run. Play that out however you want to do it. For me, it's just bonus because there's a lot of discounts. Anyhow, that's what we have. And then let's finish up Cardano and a pretty big partnership. I got to tell you, I've given Cardano a lot of flack over the years. I've talked about them, but in all honesty, they are one of the adults in the room. I know people, some are screaming at the screen right now, or some are clapping, but it takes a lot of time. And this was an announcement just like over a year, I think well over a year, where they were talking about partnering up with Dish and digital IDs and things like that. And nobody ever heard about it. Of course, this is the problem in crypto, because we want everything now. And it doesn't work like that. It takes time. First of all, who the hell is Dish? Who are they? Dish Wireless, America's first smart network. You might know them for cable or for internet service, but they say like this: we launched satellites into space to bring TV to those without it. We invented the DVR to give people entertainment on their terms. Now we're building America's first smart network to redefine the way people and things connect. And they just talk about the things they're doing here. I'll link in the description. Here's their partners. Pretty big people, right? And I believe they also have under their umbrella Boost Mobile. So what they're doing here, this was a blog post from IOHK. The objective of this collaboration is to create a robust and fully digital and decentralized identification and loyalty framework built first on Cardano blockchain. So there's no ambiguity. It's on Cardano. During the 2021 Cardano Summit, IOG's Charles Hoskinson announced that both companies would cooperate to create novel blockchain solutions to drive adoption of decentralized tech. That sounds good. This is what it's going to be. There's some kind of thing called a Boost coin that they're going to use, and it's going to be underpinned by or used by Cardano. And they'll offer these capabilities. Loyalty ledger database that tracks Boost coins and shows how many loyalty tokens need to be minted, burned, so the token balance matches. Okay. API to mint and control tokens on the Cardano mainnet, where loyalty tokens are minted and burned, according to data provided, and Dish organizational wallet that holds all Boost coins. So, sorry about that. So that's all we have as far as that piece. And to me, it's a step in the right direction. And these things that we talk about, I'm glad they actually are moving the right, even though it takes a little bit of a time. And also, don't forget, we did a video May 31st, and we talked about the hard fork that's coming up, Vassal hard fork, which is expected to improve the network's throughput and efficiency, TPS, transactions per second. I know some people are saying that's an issue. Also an issue is concurrency, which is what we saw with Sunday Swap. That's supposed to be remedied, and we'll see how it goes. The test net is already going is already going along. They're checking to see what happens. And the mainnet launch is slated for June 29th. So again, you might see a little bit of a price action for Cardano. And I think it's good. We'll see how it goes. Now, remember, just because something happens like right now, this great upgrade, doesn't mean the price just keeps going like this. Just remember what happened with Cardano and smart contracts. That's all I'm going to say. And that's it. But I still hold my Cardano, just so everybody is clear. So that's what we have. And then lastly, next to last, excuse me. There was a great thread on Twitter from KDev. And he talks about Cardano. And I think it's interesting just to note that he's not screaming in everybody's faces, telling how stupid they are if they don't invest or that have fun staying poor. He just says, hey, he or she, I don't know, says, here's the basics. Here's what Cardano has. Proof of staking, non-custodial staking. Proof of stake allows for greater decentralization. Okay, sure, debatable. I think Bitcoin is still pretty decentralized, but whatever. Thousands of stake pools, a few pools and operators. There's Ape in there. And then, of course, there's the different wallets, Nami, Eternal, Flint. Here's the DEXs, MinSwap, Wing Riders, Sunday Swap, Cardano Maldex. Here's the NFTs marketplace that they have, and some popular projects that are being built or dApps on the Cardano network. And here's the community. So, I just thought it was interesting just to point it out that, hey, just so you know, it's not a ghost chain. Things are happening. And that was it. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then lastly, just real quick, this is about Sweatcoin. So I put this out yesterday, and if you're, you know what, let me do this. If you're following me right now on Sweatcoin, I think you're crushing me, actually. So there's an app that we've been talking about. Sweatcoin is going to go over to cryptocurrency. They have a free app right now. You just download your phone, you walk, you give you sweat tokens. It's super simple. It's free to use, all that great stuff. But I put a challenge out there. I said, if you can beat me in steps, the top 3 people, if they beat me, you won't. But if you do, there's 1 of 3 things you can win. You can come on the show. I'll do a live portfolio review or give you 50 sweat tokens, whatever you want. I don't really care. It's up to you. But because I'm not going to lose. But I will show you real quick how everybody's doing as far as if I'm winning or losing. And guess what? Guess what? I'm losing pretty bad. Let's see here. So today, as far as steps, I only got 6,000 steps. Sweet Mary Joseph. And then this week, there's Cryptic Autistic. He's crushing it. Michael Patterson. And this week, hey, I have 32,000. I'm in 15th place. I will still win. And then for this month, 80,000. And just so you know, you can do, first of all, you can go shopping if you want to go shopping, spend all your tokens and things like that over here. All you got to do is just walk. It's pretty simple. And then, of course, they have challenges. And like I said in here, if you're in America, they're going to hold off on this airdrop or token generation event. And I said, well, if you're in America and you want to do some good, you can donate those sweat tokens and they actually do stuff like this. And then what I did was I donated 1,000 of them to, where did it go? Adoption centers for lost or homeless dogs. So it's up to you what you want to do. But I thought it was a pretty cool app, and I'll do a deep dive on it later. And that's what's going on. All right. So everybody, thanks for stopping by. Try to get out here as fast as possible. Never works. But again, thanks for stopping by. This concludes the part of the news. If you want to stick around for the Q&A, you can ask me any question you want. Try to answer the best of my abilities, and we'll go from there. If not, you got to get out of here. Time is precious. Get out. Have fun. Have a great day. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe, all that great stuff. Now let's get into Q&A and go from there.